Yo, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is your coach Renz, and I want to let you guys know that I just posted on my Patreon the chapter 3 of Outwitting the Devil, where Napoleon Hill discusses who the devil is, where the devil is, how it manifests itself within your mind, how does the devil intervene and affect you, and the thing about it is I want to give you guys a little preview, a little snippet of it on this video. Of course, the long version, which is about 40 minutes, is on Patreon. So go join Patreon and you'll be able to get the long version of this video. But just to give you a little bit of snippet of what Napoleon Hill is talking about in chapter 3, a couple of major key points. Now, I'm not giving you all the major key points, just a couple of them. I'm not going to tell you how to break these key points down for your use. But here's the deal. I just want you guys to get a little bit of it so that you can understand what we're doing over on Patreon in this series of the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. You see, you got to understand, when Napoleon Hill was after he had finished 25 years of study, 25 years of interviewing over 25,000 people who had failed, and interviewing 500 people who had succeeded at the level of Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, all these people, that he himself found himself in a situation where he had lost everything, lost all his money, lost all his hope, lost all his drive, had lost all these things. But yet at that time frame, he held this information. He held this key to personal success. And he said exactly himself that I was sorely ashamed to acknowledge that I was the author of a philosophy of self-determination, because deep down in my heart, I knew or thought I knew that I could not make my philosophy pull me out of the hole of despair in which I found myself. I want you to think about this. In today's world, we read Think and Grow Rich. We read The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, and we think this man was like far ahead of his time. He's the father of the whole self-help movement. I mean, he was on point. He had to have been like working these things out and have been doing them for years and years and years before he wrote Think and Grow Rich. But here's the thing that we're missing. At the time frame, he self-admits, at the time frame of writing Think and Grow Rich, he was not applying it himself. At the time frame of writing The Laws of Success, he had the info, but wasn't applying it himself. But his brilliance came through. His brilliance came through. And why did it come through? Because he had this conversation of outwitting the devil. That's why his brilliance came through. Sometimes we want to shoot the messenger. Sometimes we hear information, but because we're looking at the messenger, we think that the message is invalid. And that's the thing we have to get past. As long as we think that the message can only be validated by the messenger, then we are liable to miss out on key opportunities in life. Now, he actually speaks about that. About how some people will look at it as, wait, this information is coming from his interview with the devil. I don't want to listen to anything the devil has to say. Why would I want to listen to what the devil has to say? It's kind of like in the same mindset that he went out and interviewed. Think about it. He interviewed 25,000 people who failed, but yet only interviewed 500 people who had succeeded. He interviewed far more people who did not accomplish their goals and dreams to be able to develop a system that perhaps provided so many people their information, their courage, their encouragement, provided them their mindsets to hone in their ability to be successful. The majority of the information from Think and Grow Rich is coming from people who failed. It's like Jim Rohn said, if only failures gave seminars. Because he recognized more information, you can learn better what not to do than what you should be doing. Go opposite of what everybody else have been doing. You'll hear people saying that today. Tony Robbins would like to say that today. That you cannot achieve success by doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. So if everybody else is driving on the right-hand side of the road, you need to drive on the left-hand side of the road. Now, that's figuratively, okay? I won't take it literally. That's figuratively. But he says that specifically, that who it comes from is of little importance compared to the nature of the information conveyed through the interview. Does the interview convey dependable information which may be helpful to people who are trying to find their place in this world? I need you to think about that for a moment. Think about that for a moment. Think about it. And just like I had said in my video about the show Lucifer, one of the key things that they said in that show is that the doors of hell are always unlocked. That the hell you create for yourself in your mind, the door to leave it is always unlocked. The devil's not holding a key that's locked the doors, and you're chained in. Your mind is chained up. That you have access. You have the ability to walk out. You have the ability to say no more. That's it. I'm done. I refuse to live this life of hell anymore. It's purely up to me and my mindset. How you think. How many times? I mean, you guys have said, as a man thinketh, so shall he be. So if you're in hell, it's because you're thinking that you deserve to be in hell. Now, before I go on, I want to take a split second here to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by Pure Polish. Pure Polish is a coffee facial scrub, all natural for men. I've been using it for months now, and if you want clean, smooth, soft skin like mine that has been exfoliated so that when I shave I do not get hair bumps and things like that, then Pure Polish for Men. It will be launching on Monday. It will be launching on Monday at mynaturallypure.com. So on Monday, January 7th, you will be able to order Pure Polish for Men coffee scrub. This one is tobacco vanilla. Love the smell. Trust me, guys, your woman to be all up in here trying to smell you because it smells that good. But so this, I can't help it. This video has been sponsored by Pure Polish for Men. So commercial break is over. Back to our conversation. Okay, for real. Let's get serious. All right. What's another key nugget that I want you guys to know from this book, to understand from this book? Don't get caught up in the messenger, but definitely stick with the message. And as far as another thing that I want you to do, to understand, is that even the devil says, of course, I cannot punish anyone except those persons whose own mind through some form of fear. But fear of the thing which does not exist is just as useful as the thing that does exist. I'm not going to go too deep on this one, but I want you guys to think about it. In any instance that somebody has programmed fear into you, at any instance where fear has been programmed into the masses of people, then how can that be but a tool, a weapon of the enemy that's against you in order to keep you from being able to do what you can do to make your life and the life of everyone around you better? You have to recognize that if somebody is implanting fear inside of you, that they are up to no good. Whether they are doing it consciously or unconsciously, it doesn't matter. And I should say subconsciously, it does not matter. It's the fact that it's being done. When you tell a child to be fearful, are you benefiting the child or are you causing the child to lower themselves? Now, I'm not saying tell a child walk into a cage filled with lions, filled with bears, filled with wild animals, and that they should not fear that. No, that's not teaching the child fear. That's teaching the child common sense. There's a difference between teaching somebody common sense and fear. I will never tell you to stand in front of a train and have no fear and the train will pass over you or pass through you. That's stupid. We exist on the matter plane. So we are energy, the train is energy, but unless you can match your energy to the same frequency of that train and you have that ability, then the train is going to smash you, plain and simple. So let's not get caught up into that, but recognize that teaching someone common sense is not teaching them fear. But yet when we teach them fear of things that don't exist, things that can't hurt them, when we teach them to be fearful of attempting to be a greater version of themselves, when we say don't start that business out of fear, not out of common sense, we say don't start it out of fear because what if you lose? What if you lose this? What if you lose that? You see, that fear of loss is something that can keep you from being able to achieve your success. If we tell people, don't move to this country or that country, don't go visit this country or that country, based on fear, not based on rationale, not based on logic, not based on, if you go to this country and this country is in the midst of a civil war, then yes, stay out of that country. But if we're telling you, hey, don't go over to this country because you don't know how they're going to treat you. You don't know what the economy is like. You don't know if you're going to enjoy it. You don't speak the language. We're making up rationales. That is out of fear. And that prevents people from being able to achieve. If you're filling yourself with that, If you look in the mirror and you talk yourself out of it, you emotionalize yourself out of it, then you're doing that purely to yourself. And if that's what you're doing, then you're just playing into the forces of the devil, as Napoleon Hill describes the devil as the negative portions of your brain. So the last thing that I want to tell you guys from this portion, just this short version of the long version, is that, and I know this is going to hurt your feelings. This is why I told you the first part. It's about the information, not the messenger, right? But the devil tells Napoleon Hill this in the first chapter. And like I said, if after you hear this, I want you to think about this. He says, I get what I want. This is the devil speaking. I get what I want by exercising self-control. It is not so good for my own business, meaning that he doesn't want other people exercising self-control. Because he talks about things that he does, things that are implanted and germinate in people to help them not have self-control and not think for themselves. But he says, but I suggest you emulate me instead of criticizing me. This is not to say that you should go off doing negative things, all right? You call yourself a thinker, and you are. Otherwise, you would never have forced this interview on me. But you will never be the sort of thinker that frightens me, meaning frightening the devil can be frightened, unless you gain and exercise a greater control over your own emotions. Let me say that one more time. But you will never be the sort of thinker that frightens me unless you gain and exercise a greater control over your own emotions. Now, I got to tell you guys something on that one. Don't get stuck in the fact that it's the devil saying this. Don't get stuck in the fact that he said, emulate me. But it is the act of what he's talking about emulating. Control over your emotions. Thinking beyond your own emotions. Not allowing yourself to make emotional decisions. Not allowing yourself to act on your emotions, but to act in accurate thinking with a control over your emotions. That is the key. That is the key to this first part of outwitting the devil. There are many more keys. There are many more things you need to understand. Even in that chapter, there are things about how you create habits that you need to understand. And if you didn't see chapter 2, which is the long form, go back and watch chapter 2, because in chapter 2, there's a formula at the end. And right here, I'm going to give you that formula one more time. And I want you to write this down every day. Every day, write down this formula and read it, and then add your own goals after you write down this formula. But that formula is P plus T, colon, times A times A. What that is, this is your personal success equation as far as Sharon Lecturer is concerned, who's the editor of this book. But the first P, your passion plus your talent multiplied by the right associations, and then multiplied again by the right actions, plus faith equals your success. So I want you to understand that your passion plus your talents multiplied by the right association, multiplied again by the actions, the right actions you take, plus your faith will generate in life what it is that you desire. These are the things that will get you to outwit the devil. If you truly want to outwit the devil within, as Les Brown liked to quote the proverb, the African proverb that says that if there is no devil without, then it is the devil within that is against you and that will stop you. I want you guys to be able to join us on Patreon as we get deeper into this study. This is just a small piece. This is a small piece of what I talked about in chapter 3. I got a lot deeper on a lot of these things, gave examples, gave you things to think about, things for you to do. So join us on Patreon so that you can be a part of this study. And there's also all the studies on the Hermetics that are within there as well. So we're going to be adding more and more studies as we go. We're going to be getting in shape. We're going to be doing a lot of things on Patreon that I want you guys to be a part of. And this is Napoleon Hill's book, Outwitting the Devil. If you don't already have it and you're on Patreon, go get the book. If you're joining us on Patreon, you can listen, but I suggest that you read and go get the book as well. And so I look forward to it, guys. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.